It's really unusual to see the King, the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister on a community visit like this. Yeah, normally we might see them at big national moments of commemoration.
King Charles, and this is interesting because he did the opening of Parliament and he had to read out what the Prime Minister was saying.
Means that the order in council to which it led was also unlawful, void and of no effect and should be quashed.
The Chief Justice's verdict has just landed and it's absolutely demolished Keir Starmer's position. All 11 justices unanimously declared the Prime Minister's advice to the King as unlawful, creating seismic tremors throughout Westminster. Meanwhile, King Charles is reportedly furious about the £22 billion of taxpayer money that has vanished under Starmer's watch. This scandal isn't just about political games, it's about your money disappearing without explanation while public services crumble around us.
This means that when the Royal Commissioners walked into the House of Lords, it was as if they had walked in with a blank sheet of paper.
Very often, and I think if you want a sign of how the King is trying to do things differently during his reign, this is certainly one of them.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favour. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now back to the video.
We have 170,000 more civil servants on the payroll than we did in 2016, all of whom, by the way, are being paid for by you.
And what we go for. I mean, I think it's different if a lot of the people in the House of Lords are sleeping all the time.
£22 billion. Let that sink in for a moment. That's not mere pocket change. It's a staggering sum that could fund multiple hospitals, schools, and critical infrastructure projects across Britain. Yet somehow, this astronomical amount has simply vanished under Keir Starmer's watch, creating what many are calling the most catastrophic financial scandal in modern British political history. The sheer scale of this financial black hole defies comprehension.
Since we've been in power, we've brought in over £60 billion of investment from around the world.
For him. And the Prime Minister doesn't want hereditary peers. And King Charles didn't like that, he felt.
When news first broke about these missing billions, analysts across the political spectrum were left speechless. This isn't some accounting error or rounding mistake. We're talking about funds that were explicitly earmarked for essential public services, now gone without adequate explanation. The government's fumbling attempts to account for this money have only deepened public suspicion, with each contradictory statement from Number 10 further eroding what little credibility remains. What makes this situation particularly alarming is the unprecedented response from Buckingham Palace. According to well-placed sources, King Charles himself has expressed nothing short of fury upon learning the details of this financial mismanagement. In an extraordinary break with long-established royal protocol, His Majesty reportedly questioned the Prime Minister's competence directly, a move that has sent shockwaves through Westminster's corridors of power. The monarchy's intervention signals something far more serious than routine political turbulence. It suggests a constitutional crisis simmering beneath the surface. The ripple effects of this financial catastrophe are being felt across every corner of British society.
That's a record sum of money, and therefore that for me is vindication that the approach that we're taking to the economy, which
Who goes to
and also, obviously, King Charles, it being a monarch is a hereditary thing, so anything that...
The NHS, already stretched beyond breaking point, now faces even greater pressure with record high waiting times that continue to climb as essential funding disappears. Meanwhile, schools across the country are struggling to provide even basic resources for students, with teachers increasingly forced to reach into their own pockets to cover shortfalls. These aren't abstract problems. They represent real suffering for millions of ordinary citizens who rely on these vital services. Perhaps most telling is the internal fallout within Labour itself. What started as whispers of discontent has evolved into open rebellion, with internal party documents revealing that numerous MPs are now actively distancing themselves from Starmer. These papers, circulated among senior party figures, contain discussions about potential leadership challenges, a remarkable turn of events for a Prime Minister who once enjoyed strong support within his own ranks, as one anonymous Labour MP reportedly confided. The trust he once commanded is evaporating faster than we can measure it.
Just to stabilise it, to be strategic and long-term in our decision making is the very thing that investors care about most.
Nan Sledden is a deeply personal project for him. It started to be built when he was Prince of Wales.
While politicians scramble to protect their careers, it's ordinary citizens who bear the heaviest burden. New austerity measures are being quietly implemented across various sectors, squeezing already tight household budgets to breaking point. Small businesses, the backbone of local economies, find themselves suffocating under rising taxes that make growth, or even survival, increasingly difficult. All while £22 billion that could have alleviated this suffering remains unaccounted for. The Chief Justice's recent intervention didn't materialise from thin air. It represents the culmination of mounting evidence pointing towards serious governmental overreach and financial impropriety. Legal experts have been warning for months about the constitutional implications of such widespread fiscal negligence, with concerns that extend well beyond partisan politics to the very foundations of democratic governance.
You know, how naive, how stupid do these politicians think we are? The answer is a resounding...
Or on the other hand, it could be something that passes away, but it will be very interesting that that's the first thing that the Prime Minister has done in changing.
In a decision that will reverberate through British politics for generations, the Chief Justice delivered a unanimous verdict declaring the Prime Minister's advice to the King as fundamentally unlawful. This extraordinary ruling creates a constitutional precedent that transforms the relationship between government, monarchy, and judiciary, and places Starmer's administration on extraordinarily shaky legal ground. What's particularly striking about this entire debacle is how rapidly public sentiment has turned against the government. Recent polling reveals Starmer's approval ratings plummeting to historic lows, with trust in his leadership evaporating at an unprecedented rate. This isn't merely about financial mismanagement, though that would be damning enough. It's about a profound breach of the social contract between citizens and those they elect to office. The question that hangs over Westminster now is not whether there will be consequences, but how severe they will be.
It's good that they've started with loads to do, but actually you really have to think about these things carefully, and you have to think what Britain is really like.
Our welfare spending has been going up and is now projected to surpass £360 billion a year.
With each passing day that the £22 billion remains unaccounted for, public anger intensifies. Citizens across the political spectrum are demanding transparency and accountability that thus far has been sorely lacking. The government's strategy of deflection and denial appears increasingly untenable as pressure mounts from multiple fronts. We're witnessing the unfolding of a constitutional crisis that could fundamentally alter Britain's political landscape. This perfect storm, judicial condemnation paired with royal displeasure and mounting public fury, has left Starmer's government teetering on the brink. The £22 billion black hole has ordinary citizens demanding answers, while Westminster scrambles for cover. What happens next will reveal much about our democratic institutions. Can accountability triumph over political self-preservation? The Chief Justice's unprecedented verdict has redrawn the boundaries between government, monarchy, and citizenry. This isn't merely a political scandal, it's potentially the catalyst for a complete rethinking of how power operates in modern Britain.